Let's just flag up for you some of those interesting changes that have been coming in from market regulator SEBI, which last evening announced extensive changes in its rules for mutual funds and IPOs. Investing in mutual funds might perhaps now become a little more expensive, but then retail investors, on the other hand, they've been assured of a minimum number of shares in IPOs. SEBI Chairman UK Sinha yesterday, he said that the board discussed and approved some very far-reaching reforms, which include steps like expanding the reach of IPOs and MFs. But really, is it so? To answer that question, joining in now is Puneet Chadha. He's the CEO of HSBC AMC, joining in from Mumbai. Mr. Chadha, good morning. Thanks very much for joining in. This is Bianca. These do seem like, long-term sort of measures. How would you respond to them? Optimistically, positively?
Very much so. I think these are very welcome reforms. These are the right steps to have been taken. These are steps that will actually structurally alter the nature of the industry, align interest between the investor, the distributor and the asset manager. So I think overall a very big step forward and a very positive one.
But is it going to be a little worrisome for you, given the fact that investing in MFs is going to be slightly more expensive now?
I think that's not the way I would look at it. I certainly think that the cost will go up for the average investor. There is no doubt. I think there's going to be a 20 basis point increase in TERs overall. Of course, that will be partially offset by the exit loads being credited back to the schemes. There will also be potentially a 30 basis point increase as a consequence of the incentives to penetrate the smaller towns, and of course the impact of service tax. But I think what will happen is that this will really encourage the industry as well as the distributor community to garner long-term assets. And as we all know, long-term assets will actually give the investor a much higher probability of earning a positive return on their investment. So in the long term, even though the costs might go up, but I think the benefits will far outweigh the increased expenditure.
But why a hike in the tier 2 cities? Do you think that's fair?
I think the cost of doing business in these tier 2 cities is definitely higher than in larger cities. The larger cities have a much better preponderance of the electronic media, word of mouth. The investors are much more aware. There's a lot more concentration of manufacturers. The smaller towns have a lot more to do in terms of creating investor awareness, and therefore the effort involved in actually making a sale is more involved and complex. And therefore, I think providing a financial incentive to penetrate the smaller towns is entirely in order.
This fungibility aspect, Mr. Chadha, how do you respond to that?
Well, I think in and of itself, it's a benefit to the asset managers, because it will benefit those manufacturers that actually are able to manage their expenses better, and therefore they will be able to charge a higher management fee. But I don't think we should look at it in isolation. I think it's part of an overall package that SEBI has come out with. So fungibility allows the asset managers to manage the expenses better, but at the same time they've been given the ability to spend more money on distribution if they believe that that money is well spent. So I think on balance a very positive development again.
So essentially, net-net, it's going to push up the NAVs, right?
No, I'm not going to say that with any sense of authority, because the impact on the NAV will be determined by the prices of the stocks that these schemes invest in. I think what these changes will do is, they will encourage the asset managers or the mutual funds to actually penetrate or try and penetrate the smaller towns better. The second thing that it will do is it will encourage more long-term monies coming into the mutual funds. And as I've said before, if you have long-term assets being garnered, then the possibility of an outperformance increases pretty sharply.
All right, Mr. Chadha, thanks very much for joining in for a quick perspective and a little more analysis of how you are, overall AMCs are really looking at the changes that have been coming in, reforms as far as IPOs go, and expanding the reach of mutual funds.